My name is Lauren Spellman. Today I am going to be giving you a little bit of information about legalizing marijuana for medical as well as recreational uses and a little bit of reasoning behind why it has been illegal for so many years. Okay, at this time, 25 states have laws that legalize marijuana. So it's about half, almost half of the states have went ahead and legalized it in some form, um, while many others are in the process of getting it on the ballot. So a lot of states are working towards it being on the ballot so that we can vote whether we want it legal or not. Um, 4 of these states have completely legalized it for recreational use. So 21 states have it available for medical use. 4 have it available for medical as well as recreational. And that's not getting into the details on how much you can have, if you're able to grow it yourself, and all the nitty gritty about who's able to sell it. So there are still quite a bit of regulations there. If it's something you're interested in, I would definitely do some research. I've learned so much while researching this. It was really very informative. The majority of the 25 states have legalized it for medical purposes. I'm going to go over the 25 states. So here are the 21 states that have legalized it for medical uses. It's California, Nevada, Hawaii, Arizona, New Mexico, Montana, Minnesota, Illinois, Louisiana, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. So all of those states have it legal for medical uses, which means your doctor can write you a prescription for it. These 4 states have legalized it recreationally. So Washington, Oregon, Alaska, and Colorado. So all of those states, you can buy it and it's legal. Now keep in mind, still federally, you cannot cross state lines into states where it is illegal. So you would have to keep it in those states and still follow the city ordinances wherever you're at. Okay. This information is all current as of May 25th of this year, so it should be pretty accurate information. There are actually a lot of groups working towards legalizing the responsible use of marijuana. An example is NORML. It's NORML. They've been working towards this goal since 1970, and that's just one group. So there are numerous groups that are working towards the same goal, whether it be for medical or recreational uses. They believe modern research that suggests cannabis is a valuable aid in the treatment of many ailments. Some of those are things like pain relief, nausea, glaucoma, and movement disorders. So it's said to help a lot with those. It's also said to be an appetite stimulant, so makes you hungry, and that's used for patients suffering from HIV or AIDS. I'm sure everybody at some point has seen on the news or read an article online about a cancer patient or somebody that's sick and has went this direction or went to a state that offers medical marijuana to see if that helped. So it's seeming to be a more popular thing, at least from what I've seen. So right now, there are more than 60 U.S. and international health organizations that support marijuana for medical purposes. So, I mean, 60 is quite a few, and considering a little less than half the states have it legalized for medical uses, and then 4 states have it legalized recreationally, it seems to be becoming more and more popular, according to the research that I've completed. So let's go to the criminalization of marijuana. It goes back very far in history from what I found. It looks like back as far as the pre-1850s. So very, very far. At one point in time, colonists were required to grow hemp to export for fiber. What I read said that each colonist family was supposed to have, give or take, 100 plants growing, and they would use those to export for fiber. So at one time, it was totally legal, and it was a law that you were supposed to be growing. So times have definitely changed a lot. An interesting fact I learned was that George Washington actually grew hemp at Mount Vernon as one of his 3 crops. So that kind of shows you what things were like back then. And just to condense things, because the history behind hemp, marijuana, cannabis goes back really far and has a lot of details. I was introduced to pharmacies in the 1850s. Around the same time, efforts were being made to regulate pharmaceuticals. So eventually marijuana was labeled a poison and was strictly regulated, which meant it needed to be labeled and given by prescription from your doctor only. So it was no longer grown and exported for hemp purposes, or the hemp for fiber purposes, and you couldn't just possess it. It had to be prescribed by a doctor. Eventually, it was totally criminalized. There is really no specific evidence explaining why medical marijuana became illegal. I couldn't find anything that just pointed to one specific reason why it became totally illegal. There's a lot of speculation behind it. So from what I gathered, there was a lot of speculation about the pharmaceutical companies' greed getting involved in it. It was hard to regulate marijuana, and the pharmaceutical companies needed to sell their prescriptions. So that seemed to have something to do with it, as well as the Mexican immigrants were bringing it with them, and that turned it into a racial ordeal as well. So those are really the only 2 reasons that I could find that played any part in why medical marijuana became illegal. It looks like through the years, the government has kind of swept it under the rug. It's come up again and again, and it really never went anywhere. So again, do your research. It's really an interesting story, what you can find about the whole process. I hope this information has given you some insight on the current situation in regards to marijuana being legalized, and a little history behind the ongoing battle. So definitely thank you for listening, and I hope you look into it.